Welcome to round 2. We are on the draw. It's a lot of lands in an opening hand, but we do have a 3-drop, but no action on turn 2. This is a keepable hand, barely. I think I might regret it, but I'm going to keep. Blossoming Defense, our draw for the turn. Not necessarily something we're looking for quite yet. Tidy Conclusion. Play a land and pass the turn. No plays from our opponent either. Nature's Way, a pretty good draw now that we can play our Gira Guide. And we'll pass the turn. What do you got, OP? Gaunty. Okay. So next turn, we can Nature's Way away the Gaunty and hold up Blossoming Defense / Rush of Vitality, depending on what the opponent plays next turn. Another Gaunty. Interesting. Very cool. So next turn, we attack, I think, with the Gira Guide and see if our opponent blocks. If they do, we can Rush of Vitality. And if they don't, we can Tidy Conclusion. Alternatively, we can play Lawless Broker and hold the Tidy Conclusion for later. Let's attack first. Okay, no blocks, so I'd rather just play a creature and pass the turn. Five mana. Bastion Mastodon. That seems like a better target for Tidy Conclusion. Renegade Freighter. Okay. So we can actually play the land and hold up both Tidy Conclusion and Blossoming Defense. Unfortunately, we cannot hold up Tidy Conclusion and Rush of Vitality, which would allow us to live through both. But I think we just attack with both and see what the opponent does. Blocks with Bastion Mastodon here. So in that case, let's Tidy Conclusion away the Bastion Mastodon. And next turn, we can play the Renegade Freighter and leave up both of our combat tricks. I'd assume we're going to be taking... Oh, he got my Gaunty with his Gaunty. And now I understand where the second Gaunty came from. Missed that a moment ago. It's pretty sweet. So this turn, we're going to Rush of Vitality, whatever he blocks, and play out the Renegade Freighter. Now we also have Blossoming Defense up. Another Prakata Club security. Leaving back the Gonti to block. Target creature you control can't be blocked. Okay, so we can make the Renegade Freighter unblockable by the Gonti. So let's do that. Then we attack with both. Making this a lethal attack. So I would assume the Prakata Club security is going on Renegade Freighter, and they could have a Rush of Vitality of their own. But I'm willing to make that trade for sure. So if this is indeed a Rush of Vitality, I would assume it goes on the Prakata Club security, but they may want to keep the Gonti up instead. A Subtle Strike. Okay, in that case, we Blossoming Defense. We'll put a +1/+1 counter here. And we'll play out Fabrication Module. Aerial Responder. Okay. So we can make that not able to block. We can also make that not able to block. I'm assuming that is our own Long Tusk Cub. So the Gonti is going to be the only thing able to attack. Or sorry, block rather. And we're going to make this 6 power, so it's going to deal 2 damage. I think we have to do it though. So we make it unblockable by creatures with power 2 or less. So the Aerial Responder and the Long Tusk Cup both can't block the Renegade Freighter, leaving Gonti the only creature able to block. And it needs to do so, otherwise this is a lethal attack. And for kicks, we're going to give it another Rush of Vitality. Okay, sure. So we're going to deal another extra damage, and he gains extra life as well. I think this Aerial Responder is probably going to take over this game, along with the Long Tusk Cub now, unfortunately for us. Double Gonti put us in a pretty interesting position. A Pima Outrider. How does that change things? if we play the 4/4 and give it trample, well, if we play it as a 4/4, and we now have a 4/4 trampler, we can make it unblockable except by the Gonti. I think that's probably the best play. Unless the Longtusk Cub is left back to block, which I would assume it would not be. Actually, since they only have 2 energy, it will probably not attack. Inventor's Goggles, which I would assume are probably going on the Arrow Responder, and they start gaining more life. Revoke Privileges. Okay. What can we draw to get out of this? We have our fight card, which would get rid of the Arrow Responder. If they attack with everything here, the Longtusk Cub, we probably just have to block and hope they don't have another combat trick. That seems like our best way to win at this point. Another Subtle Strike. Okay. So we still trade here. We take 3. They gain 3. Let's see what we draw. Amalthus Squad with Menace. I think we put the +1/+1 counter on the Malthus Squad because the servo's not doing us any good right now. So we can keep building up the Malthus Squad, but unfortunately, Arrow Responder having Vigilance means that combat for them is very easy at this stage of the game. We really need to draw our fight card. Okay, equip the Inventor's Goggles. We have no choice but to take it. At end of turn, we're going to put another +1/+1 counter on the Malthus Squad. Fretwork Colony. Okay. Servant of the Conduit. I'm just going to keep building up this Malthus Squad. And hope we draw our fight card, because I think that might be our only way out of this at this point. Again, put another counter on the... Do we want to start building something else up? So our Malthus Squad already will win that fight. So let's put one on the Servant of the Conduit. Narnum Cobra. That's a pretty good draw. So if we attack with the Malthus Squad, they can double block with Gonti and Fretwork Colony. And that's a double trade. Or they can block with the Arrow Responder, and we're able to get that out of the way. Or they just take it. Let's attack with the Malthus Squad and leave the Servant of the Conduit back. And see how blocks go here. So no blocks. We'll play out the Narnum Cobra, and we'll pass the turn. So we still have a favorable trade with the Servant of the Conduit. Conduit? Yes, Servant of the Conduit against Fretwork Colony, if they choose to attack with that. But my guess is they just keep attacking with Aerial Responder. A Malthus squad of their own. They choose to make a servo, and do they choose to move the Inventor's Goggles? Probably not. Okay, so we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on Servant of the Conduit. And hope we draw our fight card. Fairgrounds Trumpeter, not going to do it. So, do I have any way to win this game? Let's attack with everything. Even if they don't block anything, this is not a lethal attack. Unfortunately, didn't draw a response to Aerial Responder, and that basically just took over this game. Opponent's deck is sweet. Alright, so let's put a +1/+1 counter here. Just play correctly. Play the Fairgrounds Trumpeter. Pass the turn. We do not live through an Aerial Responder attack, unfortunately. And I believe we do have a way to account for flyers in the sideboard, so we're definitely going to board that in. We probably don't want the Durable Handicraft again, so let's take that out. We do have Takedown, so we're going to bring that in. Appetite for the Unnatural. Did we see any? Didn't really see much of artifacts in the way that we wanted to remove. Alright, let's run it like that. Alright, game 2. We are on the play. And no forest in our opening hand, but we do have a Scrap Heap Scrounger and a Subtle Strike. So this is a keepable hand, and we hope to draw a forest. If we draw a forest in our first 2 or 3 draw steps, this becomes a great hand. Another animation module. Scrap Heap Scrounger to play for our turn. Smuggler's Copter. Man, our opponent's deck is really sweet. I'm jealous. I wish I could play that deck. So no land for our turn. We really, really want to draw a forest next turn. Okay. Okay. Thriving Rats. Can crew the Smuggler's Copter. Let's see what they discard. Opponent has also not played a land this turn. I'd keep a hand with 2 lands and Smuggler's Copter too. Okay, a Narnum Cobra for us. I don't think that changes our play. We're just going to attack and play out the Narnum Cobra. Pass the turn. At this point, it's probably a race for us. This is a race we're currently winning, but that could easily change. Our Revoke Privileges certainly will change that race. We have outs. we have the ability to give Narnum Cobra Death Touch and have it fight something. But unfortunately that's a sorcery, so... Opponent discards Fretwork Colony. Alright, there's the forest. So we're going to play the Thriving Rhino this turn, after attacking with Narnum Cobra. And pass the turn. Now we really hope to draw a removal spell to answer Smuggler's Copter. Okay, they draw their Gonti. Let's see if they can draw our Gonti again. That was pretty sweet last game. Are they going to attack with the Thriving Rats as well? They're not. What do they discard with Smuggler's Copter? Swamp. Alright, we draw another forest. So this turn, we can attack with both. Assume Gonti is going to block the Thriving Rhino. And we can kill it by spending the energy to pump up Thriving Rhino. We can play out Malthus Squad, put the counter on it, so that it has Menace. Or we can play out Gira Guide, hold up Blossoming Defense. Or play Servant of the Conduit and hold up Subtle Strike. So let's play out the land first and attack with both. Let's spend the energy so that Gonti will be a trade. Chooses not to block. So that's 5. We could deal 6, 7, 8 damage, putting them at 4. But we're not going to do that. We're going to play out Malthus Squad. Is that the right play? Or would we rather play out Servant of the Conduit and hold up Subtle Strike? I think that's the better play. This turn, the opponent can attack us with both Smuggler's Copter and Gonti, putting us at 6. But if they do that, we have lethal on board next turn. They choose not to attack with Smuggler's Copter. Okay. We draw Long Tusk Cub for the turn. So the question is, with 5 mana open, Smuggler's Copter back to block, what do we do? So all of these trade favorably with Smuggler's Copter, assuming that Subtle Strike works. But we also know that our opponent has plenty combat tricks. So for that reason, we're just going to play out Malthus Squad and put the counter on it, giving us a menace creature to attack with next turn. And we'll leave up Blossoming Defense through Servant of the Conduit. I'm assuming this is Subtle Strike. Okay, so we can Blossoming Defense to save it, which we will do. Is this going to be a second subtle strike? It is. So 2 subtle strikes on 1 menace creature. That's not terrible. They do get a servo out of it from animation module. And we got our servo from not having a choice from when we cast Malthus Squad of whether or not to put a counter on it. Interesting. Yes, because it did enter the battlefield. So does that change our plan at all? It does not. We chose not to attack in the first place, so we still don't want to attack. Gonti is now huge. We would like to draw an answer. Our Subtle Strike does kill the servo. Smuggler's Copter getting in. Discards Inventor's Goggles. We have no choice but to take 3. Opponent plays a Filigree Familiar. And it is our Filigree Familiar. Okay, Riparian Tiger. We could play, since we have 1 energy remaining. But perhaps we need to be a little bit aggressive now, since we're not going to be able to block the Smuggler's Copter. We're going to take 7 damage next turn. So if we attack with everything, it's 8 damage. If it all goes unblocked, we could make it 9 and lethal. But unfortunately, 1 block plus just blocking 1 makes it lethal for us next turn. But we can play out Long Tusk Cub and block the Thriving Rats. So let's do that. Let's attack with everything. Well, let's leave back the servo, and let's attack with everything else. Let's not do that. I thought we had 2 energy remaining, but we don't. So we can't pump up the Thriving Rhino, and Gonti just blocks everything favorably. Okay, I'm willing to make this trade. So do we play out Long Tusk Cub or do we play out Gear Up Her Guide? Let's play the Gear Up Her Guide. And we do still have Subtle Strike left up. Had I known Smuggler's Copter was in their deck, bringing in our answer to artifacts would have been a much better choice. But we did see the Revoke Privileges last game, so we could have responded. But hindsight is 20/20. Okay, choosing just to attack with the Smuggler's Copter, making their 2 flyers lethal next turn. So, unfortunately, drawing Tidy Conclusion now doesn't do anything for us because we are land short. Prakata Club Security and passes the turn. So do we want a Subtle Strike? Probably not. Okay, Rush of Vitality. Does that change anything? It probably does. So if we attack with everything, we can gain some life, and we can make favorable trades using Scuttle Strike on Gear Per Guide and Prakata Club Security, assuming that that's the block they make. Thriving Rats will probably block Servant of the Conduit, just chump, or it will just stay back. But if we attack with everything, this becomes favorable because of Rush of Vitality. And it seems to be our smallest chance, our smallest percentage of winning. So we have to attack with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we must attack with everything unless they don't block. So let's just attack with everything and see what goes down. If Gonti blocks, let's say Gonti blocks the servo. They just want to be as careful as possible. They chump the Thriving Rhino with Rats. Prakata Club Security here, Rats here. Okay, so here we Subtle Strike, or do we Subtle Strike here and then Rush of Vitality? So that gives +1/+1, making it 3, 4, 4. Yep, so that'll kill it. -1/-1, +1/+1, pay 2, and then we Rush of Vitality. Alright, so next turn we're taking 6 at a minimum. And 7, assuming they don't have a haste creature. Aerial Responder, okay. So a removal spell for Aerial Responder off the top would be our best draw. Probably Nature's Way is what it's called, or the 2 mana, give Vigilance and Trample and have it kill target creature is probably our best draw. Hunt the Weak, though, is also good. The question is, do we live through next turn? So if we have it fight, we're going to take 3 next turn. Up to 6. The server's going to stay back anyways. So Hunt the Weak, targeting Servant of the Conduit and Aerial Responder. Essence Extraction. Okay, so that would have been the reason to put it on Thriving Rhino. This does blow us out, unfortunately, but we did not see that last game, didn't know to play around it, but that doesn't make the play any better, so. So we're going to get hit for 5 here, down to 1. And they're going to go back up to 13. Tidy conclusion. And unfortunately, I think that does it. Had we drawn another land, we might be able to hold up tidy conclusion. We would gain 3 life. Unfortunately, that last turn just ended up being such a blowout. So let's play out the long test cub. We'll pass the turn, make our opponent play for the win. Let's see what they discard. Planes. And that'll do it. We'll see you in round 3.